There is a deep problem inside early Christian gender thought, not a simple problem. Not the shallow claim that Christianity was merely against women. That would be too easy and intellectually too weak. The real problem is more disturbing. Early Christianity appears with a powerful spiritual claim. In Christ there is neither male nor female. The soul, before God, is presented as something that should not be reduced to biological sex, social rank, or earthly hierarchy. And yet, almost immediately, the same tradition continues to speak through the language of hierarchy. Husband and wife, Christ and man, God and Christ, order and submission. It continues to describe reason as masculine-coded, desire as feminine-coded, the soul as bride, Christ as bridegroom, the church as female, and religious authority as male-coded. So the question is not simply, did early Christianity include women? The sharper question is this: can a doctrine truly transcend gender while still using gender as the inner grammar of salvation? That is the dilemma. In this episode, we will follow this problem from Alexandria, through Philo, Clement, and Origen, until we reach one unresolved wound. The soul may be declared spiritually equal, but the language of salvation remains deeply gendered. Let us begin with the tension that cannot be avoided. On one side, we have the famous statement from Galatians: there is neither Jew nor Gentile, neither slave nor free, nor male and female, for all are one in Christ. This is one of the strongest spiritual equality statements in early Christian literature. But on the other side, we find Paul in 1 Corinthians saying that the head of every man is Christ, the head of a wife is her husband, and the head of Christ is God. So what exactly is happening here? If we read the first text alone, we may think early Christianity abolished gender hierarchy. If we read the second text alone, we may think it preserved and sanctified hierarchy. But the real structure is more complicated and more dangerous. Christian thought seems to separate two levels. At the level of salvation, male and female can be one in Christ, but at the level of body, family, church, and social order, hierarchy remains. This is not a small detail. This is the central architecture of the problem. Christianity spiritualizes equality, but does not necessarily institutionalize it. It announces equality before God, while leaving earthly order deeply gendered. To understand why this happened, we must go to Alexandria. Alexandria was not merely a city, it was an intellectual machine. Greek philosophy, Jewish scripture, Hellenistic culture, mystery religion, and early Christianity all met there. The old civic gods had lost much of their power to answer the individual's existential hunger. People were asking different questions now. What is the soul? What is salvation? What happens after death? How can one ascend beyond the body? In this world, Platonism became a common intellectual language. And this matters because early Christian thinkers didn't speak about gender in a vacuum. They inherited a philosophical world where the soul was often divided between higher and lower powers, reason and passion, ascent and fall, mastery and weakness. And these categories were not neutral. Reason was often coded as masculine. Passion, desire, softness, and bodily attachment were often coded as feminine. So when Christianity entered this world, it did not simply invent its gender symbolism from nothing. It absorbed an older philosophical grammar and placed it inside Christian theology. This is why the question becomes serious. Did early Christianity overcome gender hierarchy? Or did it spiritualize it, refine it, and carry it into the soul? Someone may object and say, but women were active in early Christian communities. Yes, that is true. Women appear in the life and teachings of Jesus. They witness, serve, support, prophesy, pray, anoint, and appear in important moments. In Luke and Acts, women are not invisible. In non-canonical literature, women sometimes appear even more dramatically, as in stories around Thecla or Mary. But this does not solve the problem, because participation is not the same as authority, presence is not the same as equality, spiritual capacity is not the same as institutional leadership. The early Christian world often gives women a real presence, but within limits. They may pray, prophesy, and witness, but restrictions often appear when the issue becomes teaching, governing, or holding authority. So the issue is not whether women existed in Christian memory. Of course they did. The issue is whether their presence changed the gendered structure of authority, and here the answer is far less comfortable. Christianity may have softened patriarchy. It may have reformed it. It may have spiritualized it. But it did not simply abolish it. Now we come to Philo of Alexandria. Philo is crucial because he stands before Christianity as a bridge, a Jewish thinker deeply shaped by Plato, reading scripture through philosophical categories. For Philo, biblical figures become more than historical persons. They become symbols of the soul, reason, virtue, assent, and divine contact. Moses becomes something like a Platonic philosopher king. Miriam, leading female singers, preserves a visible sacred female agency. Hannah becomes a symbol of the ecstatic soul, touched by divine grace. At first glance, this looks generous. Women are not excluded from the spiritual drama. They can appear as prophetic, musical, ecstatic, and elevated. But here is the catch. In Philo, spiritual ascent depends on manly reason. Even women can become citizens of heaven, but only if they follow the discipline of masculine-coded reason and live in the soul alone. This is a very important moment. Women are included, yes, but the path of inclusion passes through the masculinization of virtue. The feminine is not simply honoured as feminine, it is often redeemed by being disciplined, rationalized, purified, and detached from bodily desire. So the question becomes harsh but necessary. Is this true spiritual equality? Or is it a system where women can ascend only by abandoning what the system itself has coded as feminine? Let us pause here because this phrase, manly reason, reveals the hidden structure. If reason is called manly, then virtue is already gendered before the argument begins. If passion is associated with Eve, desire, bodily life, and fallenness, then femininity becomes morally suspicious before any woman has even acted. This is the trap. The tradition may say that women can be saved, women can be virtuous, women can rise, but the conceptual ladder they must climb is already built in masculine terms. To rise spiritually is to become rational. To become rational is to become manly. To become manly is to escape the feminine-coded zone of passion, body, softness, and desire. This is not equality, it is conditional inclusion. It says, you may enter, but only if you accept the terms of a symbolic order that has already named the higher life masculine. That is why this issue cannot be dismissed as historical context. It is not merely about social customs, it is about the moral vocabulary itself. When the language of virtue is gendered, the soul is already placed inside a hierarchy before theology even begins. Clement of Alexandria continues this Alexandrian movement. Here again we find a strong spiritual ideal. The true self, the rational soul, the person before God, is not supposed to be trapped in bodily sex. At the highest level, the soul is described as neither male nor female in the ordinary biological sense. That may appear liberating, but the problem returns through the back door. Even if the soul transcends sex, the path of transcendence is still described through gendered categories. The body is still treated as the realm of difference. Desire is still treated as dangerous. Self-control still looks masculine. Spiritual ascent still means rising above the lower, bodily, passionate dimension. So the tradition creates a paradox. At the top, the soul is beyond gender. But on the way upward, gendered symbolism controls the map. This is why the dilemma is so difficult. Christian theology can say that God is beyond male and female. It can say that the soul is beyond male and female. But then it continues to speak as if masculinity means reason, order, authority, and transcendence, while femininity is attached to body, desire, receptivity, and dependence. That is not a complete escape from gender. It is a relocation of gender into symbolism. Now we reach Origen. Origen's reading of the Song of Songs is one of the most important moments in this story. The song is a love poem, bride and bridegroom, longing and union, desire and intimacy. Origen reads this allegorically. The bride becomes the soul, or the church. The bridegroom becomes Christ, the Word of God, the Logos. A Christian theologian may defend this reading by saying that it elevates the soul's longing for God and turns human love into a symbol of spiritual union. But even if we describe the interpretation from within its own Christian framework, the gender structure remains deeply problematic. Every soul, whether belonging to a man or a woman, is feminized before Christ. The believer becomes bride. Christ remains bridegroom. The soul becomes receptive, longing, beloved, waiting, joined. The Logos remains the masculine divine principle who comes, speaks, leads, and unites. So even if this is presented by Christian interpretation as a spiritual allegory, It is not gender neutral. It does not abolish gender. It universalizes a symbolic femininity for the soul. And here we must ask a sharp question. Does this truly elevate the feminine? Or does it reinforce a hierarchy where divine initiative remains masculine coded, while the human soul becomes feminine coded as receiver, lover, and dependent subject? This is the unresolved problem inside the allegory. Someone may say, but if every soul becomes bride, then this symbolism is not oppressive. Even men become spiritually feminine before Christ. Yes, that is how a Christian defender may try to answer the objection. But this does not remove the problem. It deepens it. Because now femininity is no longer merely social. It becomes theological. The feminine becomes the symbolic position of dependence, receptivity, longing, and union. The masculine remains logos, bridegroom, command, direction, and spiritual initiative. So biological sex is transcended, but symbolic gender remains. In fact, it becomes more powerful because it enters the very language of salvation. This is the crucial distinction. Christian thought may move beyond biological male and female at the level of the soul. But it does not move beyond masculine and feminine symbolism. It simply transfers the symbolism from the body into the spiritual drama. That means the problem is not solved. It is aestheticized. It is made mystical. It is turned into poetry and allegory. But it remains a hierarchy of positions, active and receptive, leading and following, bridegroom and bride. So now we can state the dilemma clearly. Early Christian doctrine contains 4 claims that sit uneasily together. First, Christian theology says God transcends sex. Second, the soul, at its highest level, is described as transcending male and female. Third, salvation is still narrated through gendered symbols: Father, Son, wisdom, bride, bridegroom, church, soul. Fourth, social and ecclesial order often remains hierarchical. Men lead, women participate within limits. This is not a minor contradiction. This is a structural tension. At the metaphysical level, gender is transcended. At the symbolic level, gender is intensified. At the social level, hierarchy remains. That is the Christian gender dilemma. The tradition can say male and female are one in Christ, but it does not consistently say, therefore, authority, reason, virtue, and religious symbolism must be freed from gender hierarchy. Instead, it often says something more ambiguous. You are equal before God, but your social position remains ordered. You are beyond sex in the soul, but the soul itself must be described as bride. You are spiritually capable, but the language of perfection is still masculine coded. This is why the problem is not easily solved. Let us say it plainly. There is a form of equality that does not liberate. There is an equality that exists only at the invisible level, while the visible world remains almost unchanged. This is one of the harshest questions we can ask of early Christian gender thought. What does it mean to say that women are equal in Christ? If the family remains hierarchical, the church remains male-led, and the language of perfection remains masculine-coded. What does spiritual equality mean if social authority does not follow it? What does it mean to transcend male and female before God, while continuing to organize religious imagination through masculine rule and feminine receptivity? This is not a cheap accusation. It is a philosophical problem. If equality is only spiritual, it can coexist with hierarchy forever. If transcendence is only mystical, it can leave the body and society untouched. If women are honored as symbols, mother, virgin, bride, church, wisdom, but restricted as actual agents, then symbolic elevation may become a substitute for real authority. That is the danger. A woman may be glorified as symbol and limited as person. The feminine may be praised in poetry and controlled in institutions. And this is not liberation. It is a refined form of containment. This is why the figure of Mary becomes important in the discussion. Christianity did not emerge in a world empty of feminine sacred imagery. There were older images of divine motherhood, mother and child, goddess and child, fertility and protection. Christianity transformed that symbolic world. It did not merely copy it, it reinterpreted it. Mary becomes Virgin Mother. Wisdom can be female-coded. The church can be bride. The soul can be bride. So feminine symbols are everywhere. But again, the question is severe. Does the abundance of feminine symbolism give women authority? Not necessarily. A tradition can exalt motherhood, virginity, purity, and symbolic femininity while still restricting actual women. In fact, symbolic femininity can become a prison, because woman is no longer encountered as a full moral, intellectual, legal, and social agent. She becomes a symbol of purity, receptivity, maternity, temptation, or spiritual longing. The feminine becomes meaningful but controlled. It is allowed to represent the church. It is allowed to represent the soul. It is allowed to represent holiness, but is it allowed to govern, teach, interpret, and command? That is where the tension becomes visible again. Now, to be fair, this is not a simple attack on Christianity. The picture is more complex. Early Christianity did give women meaningful spiritual roles. It did challenge certain brutal features of the ancient world. It did insist that salvation is not monopolized by male status, ethnic status, or social rank. It did imagine the soul as capable of union with God beyond bodily difference. These are serious historical and doctrinal claims within the Christian tradition. But precisely because the claims are strong, the contradiction becomes more serious. If Christianity had simply said, men are higher, women are lower, the problem would be obvious. But it says something more complex. In Christ, you are one. In the soul, you transcend sex. In symbol, you may become bride. In society, however, hierarchy remains. This is more difficult to critique because it mixes elevation with limitation. It gives spiritual dignity while preserving structural inequality. And that is why the doctrine must be examined sharply. Not mocked, not simplified. Examined. The unresolved wound is this. Early Christianity does not fully decide whether gender is a temporary bodily condition, a symbolic language of salvation, or a real social order. It wants all three. It wants to say gender is surpassed in Christ. It wants to use gender to describe the soul's relation to God. And it wants to preserve gendered order in family and church. But these three claims do not sit peacefully together. If gender is surpassed, why does the soul need to become bride? If God is said to transcend sex, why is divine authority so consistently masculine coded? If women are spiritually equal, why is authority not equally shared? If desire is dangerous because it is bodily and feminine coded, then has the feminine really been redeemed, or merely disciplined? These are not external modern questions forced onto the past. They arise from the internal logic of the tradition itself. The doctrine opens the door to transcendence, then pulls gender back in through symbol, virtue, and order. That is the dilemma. The soul is declared free from sex, but theology keeps speaking in gender. In a later episode, we will ask a different question. How does Islam deal with the same problem? Does it dissolve male and female into a genderless soul? Does it spiritualize equality while leaving social order untouched? Does it make reason masculine and desire feminine? Or does it offer another framework, one that distinguishes spiritual accountability, bodily difference, family responsibility, moral obligation, and legal order without turning the soul into a feminine symbol before a masculine divine bridegroom? That will require a separate discussion. But for now, we have identified the Christian dilemma. Its problem is not merely patriarchy, its problem is more subtle. It announces spiritual equality, but preserves gendered hierarchy. It says God transcends sex, but keeps speaking through gendered images. It elevates the feminine symbolically, but often limits women institutionally. It feminizes the soul before Christ, while leaving divine initiative and authority masculine coded. And so the final question remains, if the soul is beyond male and female, why does salvation still need a bride and a bridegroom? And if all are one in Christ, why does hierarchy survive? That is the gender dilemma in Christian doctrine.